Monday night here at the Star. It's a cool -5. Just be happy to get inside. Hopefully the cards are hot.
I thank you.
3:28 a.m.
Certain that he's beat here, but he calls anyway. He gets to look at 3 jacks, and it's time for everyone to take cover.
Mother this. Come on. I got the sucker totally set up again.
Just like the donkey.
They found a freaking jack. God dang, you can't win any money with a 10 or a 9. They found a freaking jack for me. What the hell is going on here? They called me with Jack 9 offsuit, just trying to give me his money every street. I mean, they play so bad. Well, how can they freaking punish me?
Run bad continues. Gets smoked at the Star. The car almost didn't start, and now we're sitting out here and it's like -15 wind chill. This is Les Miserables. Just gonna get me a drink of soda here. This is the earliest I've been up in a very long time. It's only 9:50, but the wife is away, the mice will play. Wednesday night poker and Hutch, let's go! So my wife is working in Liberal for the next couple of days, which is like 2.5 hours away. That means she has to get a hotel room for overnight. So Odie and I get to take a little road trip to Hutch, hopefully grind one of the home games in town. Let's get it. What's up, dude?
Not much. Good waiting for you to come by.
So earlier you guys saw me and my buddy Casey eating at the best burger joint in the city, quite possibly the best burger joint in the state. And now, Dad and I are feeding cows. So tonight is cash game night in Hutch. Gonna play in a home game I grew up playing in. A bunch of great guys. Hopefully we can book a win. Because it's a home game, obviously there's not gonna be any shots inside or even around where this is happening. Gotta keep this on the DL. I decided we're gonna do a little hand analysis in a little bit different location, right here next to this pump jack. In this first hand, there's an under the gun $4 straddle. There are a couple limps around. It comes to me on the button. I have 6/8 of hearts. I raise to $21. The small blind calls and the big blind calls. We are 300 effective in this hand. The flop comes 4 of hearts, 5 of hearts, queen of spades. The small blind checks, the big blind checks. We have a gut shot straight flush draw. So I put in a fairly large C-bet. I bet $55. The small blind folds and the big blind snap calls. The turn is a king of hearts. The big blind checks, and at this point in time I check. I guess I could bet here, but I'm really only going to get looked up by king queen. So I check it back. The river is another 4, and he leads out for $100. I think sometimes this is a fold, guys.
I used to go in there and tell some of the regulars, I was like, you nitty mother.
We only have an 8-high flush. The board is paired. I don't think he does this with ace queen ever. So the only hands that we are beating is king queen, any random 4, and we pretty much have the worst flush if he were to also have a flush. But I decide on the call, and the big blind shows ace 7 of hearts. There you go, Shane. You made the vlog, dude. So one of the hands I recorded yesterday actually did not get any sound through because of how windy it was. So the hand I was going to talk about was the hand that I played in Hutchinson at the 1-2 home game. We are $250 effective in this hand. There are 2 limps. I'm on the button with ace jack off. I open to $15 and both limpers call. The flop comes 10 of spades, 4 of spades, deuce of hearts, check, check. I decide to check here as well. We're probably not getting anybody to fold a 10. The turn is a king of spades. The first player checks, the next player bets $40 into 45. I actually decide to overbet here. There is $85 in the pot, and I decide to rip it in for the full 200. I have all the strong kings here. I have all the ace kings with the ace of spades. I have all the flopped slow played sets. There's just so many strong hands I can have that if they were to have king queen on this turn, it's probably an easy fold for them. I decide to pile it all in there, and she snaps me off pretty quick with queen 9 of spades.
Wow, wow, wow.
So we're drawing dead. We had the heart to put it in there, just didn't get it back. Another hand from the 1-2 home game. I'm on the button with pocket 4s. There's 2 limps. We're $300 deep. I raised to $15. The under the gun limper calls and the other limper calls. The flop comes 6, 7, 8 rainbow. The under the gun player donks for $20. The next player calls. I have a gutter and a pair and the ability to steal on later streets, so I decide to call as well. The turn is a queen, which brings in a backdoor heart draw. The under the gun player bets $25 this time. The next player calls, and at this point in time I decide I'm going to try and bluff and have equity going forward if I get called. So I re-raise to $85. The under the gun player calls, the other player folds. The river's a 9, and the under the gun player puts out another $25 lead. There's no flush out there. I decide to go for it, put all my chips in play. He finds a fairly quick call with ace 5 of hearts.
Boom! Friday night poker. Just kidding. Friday morning poker. Hanging out with the old guys. Let's grind. But before we grind, it's breakfast time with my wife, so let's grub. Guys, I ain't gonna lie. That cheese omelet that I just had, excelente. It is only 10:30 right now. This is the 3rd day in a row that I've been up before noon, which is unbelievable. My goal is to switch around my hours, running on this night shift for the last year. I'm not certain whether there's any games at the Star right now, but they have a noon tournament, the high noon tournament. There should be a couple of cash games going during that. Let's get it.
This next hand Was actually playing 1-3 down at the Star. It was my very first hand, so we're 300 effective. I open under the gun with ace king off to $15. Pretty tight regular to my left. 3 bets to 45. It folds around and it comes back to me. There's really no point in 4 betting here. So we call the 30 extra dollars and the flop comes King Jack 7. I check, the villain puts out a $100 bet. I have top pair, top kicker, I'm not going anywhere yet, so I call the $100. The turn is a queen, I check, and this player goes all in. At this point, we really are only chopping. I don't ever see him doing this with ace queen. I just don't see it being a reality, so I let it go fairly quickly.
I used to go on there and tell some of the regulars, I was like, you nitty motherfucker.
And this player shows pocket aces.
So this next hand was actually an Omaha hand that I played yesterday. I am under the gun with ace, 7-8 suited to the clubs, and I pot it for $7. The player immediately to my left repots to 24. It folds around, and it comes back to me. We got the rockets. We're gonna go with the hand, so I repot to 75. This player calls. Flop comes 4-4 ace, so we flopped the nut full house, only losing to quads. There's really no reason to bet here. I have this board on lockdown. If he did happen to have a 4 that he called $75 pre-flop with, then I suppose we miss out on some value, but I pretty much have this board on lockdown, so I'm gonna check. Same thing I would do with kings or any type of rundown hand, and he checks. The turn is another 4. It's really not a huge deal because we're just never folding this hand. If he has quads, then so be it. So I check, he also checks. The river is a jack. We go for the 3rd straight check in a row, and he pots all in for $152. I snap it off, and he shows king, jack, jack 10 for the 2nd nut full house. So we shipped that pot our way, ended up having an excellent run in PLO over the last couple of days.